When Tolo slapped the Madwoman, the baobab trees wept, the rivers stopped flowing, and even the ancestors turned their faces away. But nobody, not even the oldest elder in 7 villages, could have predicted what happened next. In the village of Kwetu, nestled between the amber grasslands of the savannah and the whispering acacia forests, there lived a young woman whose beauty was spoken of in songs from the eastern mountains to the western shores. Her name was Tolo, and she was 20 years of age when our story begins. Tolo's skin was the color of midnight honey, smooth and radiant, as if the sun itself had kissed her at birth and never stopped. Her eyes were deep pools of wisdom that she had not yet earned, framed by lashes that curved like the wings of sacred ibis birds. When she walked through the marketplace, men stumbled over their own feet, women whispered prayers of protection for their husbands, and even the children stopped their games to stare. But beauty, as the elders say, is like fire. It can warm a home or burn down a village. And Tolo's beauty had become a raging inferno of vanity. "Move aside, you common women," she would shout at the market, her voice sharp as a thorn. "Can you not see that I must pass? Do you wish for your ugly shadows to taint my skin?" The women would scatter like startled guinea fowl, swallowing their anger, biting their tongues. Tolo's father, Babatunde, was the wealthiest merchant in Kwetu, with trade routes stretching to distant kingdoms. Her mother had died birthing her, and some whispered this was why Babatunde could not bring himself to discipline his only child. He showered her with gifts from across the lands, cloth woven with golden threads from the northern deserts, perfumes pressed from flowers that bloomed only once every 7 years, jewelry carved from ivory and amber. "My daughter," Babatunde would say, his eyes clouded with equal parts love and sorrow, "I am the son of my sky, but remember, even the sun must set and make way for the moon." Tolo would laugh, a sound like bells made from crystal. "Father, why should I set when I can shine forever? Look at these village women with their calloused hands and bent backs. Look at these men with their simple minds and empty pockets. I am not like them. I am extraordinary." The elders watched this growing pride with troubled hearts. Old Mama Tandiwi, whose age was known only to the ancestors themselves, would shake her head and mutter ancient proverbs. "Pride is the termite that eats the strongest tree from within," she would say. "The peacock with the finest feathers is also the one the hunter sees first." But Tolo paid no mind to wisdom. She had 3 polished bronze mirrors in her compound, a fortune in themselves, and she would spend hours admiring her reflection, counting her perfections like a miser counting gold. Young men came from neighboring villages to seek her hand in marriage, warriors with scars earned in battle, princes from distant kingdoms, traders with wealth that rivaled her father's. Tolo rejected them all with cruel laughter. "You," she sneered at a noble warrior who had once fought off a lion to save his village, "your nose is too flat. Next." "And you," she scoffed at a kind-hearted farmer's son who had walked 3 days to bring her flowers from the mountain meadows, "your hands are too rough, your shoulders too narrow. Did you truly think someone like me would even look at someone like you?" The young man left with tears streaming down his face, and his mother, who had sold her best goat to buy him traveling clothes, cursed Tolo's name under the new moon. These curses, like seeds, began to plant themselves in the soil of destiny. Now, in every village there are those whom society has forgotten, those who exist in the spaces between normal life and the spirit world. In Kwetu, this person was known simply as the Madwoman. Nobody knew her true name. Some said she had once been a beautiful princess from a kingdom swallowed by desert sands. Others claimed she was a priestess who had seen visions too terrible for a human mind to bear. The children said she was a witch who had lived for 300 years. The truth, as it often is, was both simpler and more tragic. The mad woman wandered the village paths in tattered clothes, her hair matted with dust and leaves, speaking in riddles and fragments. But if you looked closely, and few did, you could see that her eyes, though clouded, still held traces of profound intelligence, like stars glimpsed through storm clouds. The tall tree falls, the low grass survives the storm, she would mutter, walking in circles at the marketplace. What is beautiful today becomes dust tomorrow. The river remembers, yes, the river always remembers. Most people avoided her. Some children threw stones until their parents scolded them. But a few kind souls, Mama Tandiwi, the young healer Amara, and old Kofi, the drummer, would leave food for her, speak gentle words, and treat her with the dignity every human deserves. And here is the detail that would later become the hinge upon which fate would swing. The mad woman was pregnant. How this came to be, nobody knew. Some whispered dark stories of violation in the night. Others claimed it was a miracle, a sign from the ancestors. The mad woman herself would only say when asked, "The child knows. The unborn always knows. They remember what we forget." Her belly had grown round as a harvest moon, and she walked with one hand always cradling it, protecting the life within, even as her own existence seemed so fragile. It was the season of the red winds, when the harmattan blew down from the Sahara, covering everything in fine dust. The marketplace was crowded that day, filled with traders who had traveled from the coast with salt and dried fish, with farmers selling yams and cassava, with women selling cloth dyed in indigo and ochre. Tolo had come to the market dressed in her finest, a wrapper of deep purple cloth reserved for royalty, gold bangles on her wrists that chimed with every movement, her hair braided in an intricate pattern that had taken her servant girl 6 hours to complete. She was purchasing perfume from a merchant, sniffing various bottles with an expression of perpetual discontent, when the mad woman stumbled into her path. The collision was gentle, accidental. The mad woman, her pregnant belly leading the way, had been reaching for a discarded mango when she lost her balance and bumped against Tolo's shoulder. The perfume bottle, filled with rare essence of jasmine from the eastern mountains, slipped from Tolo's fingers and shattered on the ground. The precious liquid seeped into the red dust, its fragrance rising briefly before being carried away by the wind. The marketplace fell silent. Tolo's face transformed from surprise to fury so quickly as it was watching storm clouds swallow the sun. "You filthy creature," she screamed, her beautiful faces twisted into something ugly. "You disgusting mad witch, do you know what you have done? That perfume cost more than your worthless life." The mad woman looked at her, and for a moment, just a flicker, something ancient and knowing passed across her weathered face. She touched her pregnant belly protectively. "The beautiful flower," she whispered, "does not curse the rain that feeds it." This only enraged Tolo further. The crowd had gathered now, watching with the horrified fascination of those who knew this would be spoken of for generations. "How dare you speak to me, you mad dog?" she shrieked, and then, before anyone could intervene, before her own mind could counsel restraint, she drew back her hand and slapped the mad woman across the face. The sound echoed across the marketplace like a thunderclap. The mad woman fell, her hands instinctively protecting her belly as she hit the ground. A trickle of blood ran from her lip. She looked up at Tolo with eyes that suddenly seemed terrifyingly lucid, terrifyingly aware. "3 things," she said, her voice no longer the rambling mutter of madness, but clear and resonant like a bronze bell. "3 things you will lose, beautiful one. First, that which you cherish most. Second, that which you believe makes you different from me. Third, that which you have never valued but will come to treasure above all else. Only when you have lost all 3 will you understand what you had, what you were, and what you could have been." Then her eyes clouded again, and she began to weep silently, tears mixed with the blood on her face. The crowd stood frozen. Even those who thought the madwoman was nothing but a broken mind felt a chill run through their bones. These words had not sounded like madness, they had sounded like prophecy. Mama Tandiwe pushed through the crowd, her ancient face set in lines of sorrow and anger. "Tolo, daughter of Babatunde," the old woman said, and her voice carried the weight of accumulated years. "You have done a terrible thing this day. To strike one who cannot defend herself is the act of a coward. To strike a pregnant woman is to strike the future itself. To strike someone already broken is to break yourself."